Are you a witch who likes to perform spells as part of your practice? Do you like to follow spells you found online, or do you like to write your own? Today I'm going to talk about why I prefer to write my own custom spells and why writing your own will work the best for you too. Hello, I'm Alice Knight and welcome to Day 10 of the Neopagan November Challenge started by Brittany, the Sunshine State Witch. Today's topic is spell work. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every time I upload a new video. So when I first started out, I would do spells other people wrote that I found in a book or books. Over time though, I started altering these spells to better fit me, and then eventually started writing my own spells from scratch. I strongly believe spells are personal to each of us. While many people may cast the same type of spells, like protection spells for example, they can be vastly different depending on who wrote them and their personal needs. I think that when you perform a spell, you need to really fully understand why you are using each item and doing each step of the spell. If you're just blindly following a spell you found without understanding the purpose behind using each item, then they aren't going to be nearly as helpful as they could be. While I believe certain items like herbs and crystals do have inherent magical properties, I think it's up to us to utilize and bring out those properties in order for them to work for us in a spell. Most spells I've seen in books and online will tell you what supplies and ingredients to use and give you the steps to go through, but then they don't explain why they choose to use those specific items. And in fact, thinking about it, I can't even think of a single instance I've come across where it has been explained why they chose those in a book. You have to think, for example, are they using rosemary for cleansing, for protection, or for memory? Is it simply because they have an abundance of it growing in their yard, or maybe they're just like the smell? When performing a spell, you need to know and understand why each item is being used and in what way for those properties to be beneficial to your spell. Otherwise, you might as well not waste your time adding it. And if you don't understand the why behind any of the items or steps in your spell, then you're completely wasting your time performing it in the first place. This is why I really like writing my own spells and encourage you to do the same. If writing your own spells from scratch seems daunting, you can start by just simply altering spells other people have written. Read through the spell and look up the individual item correspondences and see if you can figure out the author's reasoning as to why it was added. If you can't, maybe it's worth just leaving it out. If you do figure out their reasoning, but to you it doesn't really make sense, then again, leave it out, or even substitute it for something else. For example, if I were to do some type of dream spell, and let's say the spell called for lavender because that's typically seen as calming and relaxing. Well, personally, I am highly allergic to lavender, and it isn't the least bit calming or relaxing. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So to me, if I were to do that dream spell and include lavender, not only would that not help the spell, but it could even backfire the spell because lavender has that like, ew, gross, I hate this properties for me. So that's something that if I was altering that spell, I would leave that out. There are a lot of great resources for finding correspondences. You can always search online, but personally I prefer to use physical books so I can like flip through them. I just find that easier in searching and finding what I'm looking for. There's different books that pertain to like specific topics, such as Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, or his Encyclopedia of Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic. Or there's books like it's called the Llewellyn's Complete Book of Correspondences. It's like this big book and it has like animals, colors, plants, minerals, elements, and so much more. Just all kinds of stuff. Timings, everything, pretty much. And so that's one I really pull out pretty much every time I'm writing my own spell or altering other spells. Another great thing about writing your own spells is that because they're more personalized, they are often more powerful. I've definitely found this to be true for me. One more thing I want to talk about when it comes to spell work is the common thing I hear that intent is everything. I don't think this is true. I think it's kind of a misunderstanding or oversimplification. Basically, intent is simply the why behind something. It's what you want the outcome of your spell to be. Simply wanting something to happen isn't going to just make it happen, you know? Like, obviously, if that was the case, I'd be like a millionaire and all my chronic illnesses would have been cured years ago, right? So simply just wanting something doesn't make it happen. Regardless of if you write your own spells or not, when performing them, you have to add in your own energy and you have to put in the effort for them to work. You can't just like follow a spell and just like throw a bunch of herbs together or light a candle, say some fancy words, and boom, it's going to work. If you don't put in your energy into the spell, it's not going to work. I feel like this aspect is often overlooked and left out when discussing spell work. People will talk about your intentions and things like correspondences, but then they leave out that you have to put in your energy into the spell, which I think once you're more advanced, that's something that kind of seems like, well, duh. But if you're a beginner, it might not be so obvious. So, an example I like to use is if you're doing a spell and you're just like throwing the herbs together, the candle, the lighting, saying something, but you're not putting your energy in it and expecting it to work, is like getting in a car and expecting it to run without putting in any gas. You're not going anywhere without that gas, you know? So it's like you've got to put in that energy to get the spell to work. And I know as a beginner, it can be kind of hard to know like, well, how exactly do you do that? And it does take practice. I have a couple videos on my channel, energy sensing videos, where I talk about like sensing energy, and the part 2 video has an exercise on how to create an energy ball between your hands. And when you learn to do that, you can adapt that and use the same basic technique in your spells to, instead of just making a random energy ball, you like would put that energy into the spell. That's what I do a lot. I will put my hands, like if I have a candle or a bowl of herbs or whatever is going on, a spell bottle, I'll put my hands around it or hold stuff and like just push my energy from, you know, my core down my arms through my hands into that thing. So if you're interested in those videos, I will leave the links down below. If you want, I can make a specific video about how to add your energy into a spell, but yeah, just let me know if you want to see that. So I guess that's all I have to say about this. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you will come back for tomorrow, day 11, in the Neopagan November Challenge. Check out the other challenge videos I've done so far this month by clicking the link that will come up now for yesterday's video. All right, I will see you next time, hopefully tomorrow, and bye.